Are you following our matches?
Yeah, I think I follow you to uThermal next. That's what I think's going on. But okay, hey guys, I think we're back. Let me just double check. Okay, there's like 10 seconds. Wait 10 seconds. But here with game time. Kind of kicks ZombiRub off. Let me get chat up too. This is no delay, which is awesome. So if you guys got questions for game time, by all means, go ahead. But all right, so we got game time. Just won the series. He's going up against uThermal, I think, next, right?
Yeah, exactly.
So I was going to get going by it pretty quick. But we figured give you a few seconds of airtime. A lot of people don't know you. They don't know your face.
Yeah.
So I don't know, quick intro. Who are you? Tell us about yourself.
My name's Steven, or GameTime, as you saw. And I'm from Michigan, so it was a long trip, but it was fun, obviously, coming out here. And it's my first premiere event, which is really cool. I went to Philadelphia for Philadelphia, so
you've done some land stuff before,
yeah,
so it's
Michigan,
not like your first time showing up.
Exactly. Yep. But Michigan has a few offline lands, so I went to those, obviously. So
cool.
But yeah, this is the first one that I had to travel super far, and then it's a different environment, obviously. So it's fun. Yeah, it's cool.
By the way, can you guys hear him okay? Just double check, because we balanced mine and ZombiRub's audio, but not mine and his. So just, I guess before we have him talk for 10 minutes, and then you can't hear him.
Yeah.
Oh, you're probably Sloth Esports, right? I think they were in chat cheering for you up here somewhere.
Yeah, I got WCS Challenger this year too, and then I played for Sloth Esports. So that's me. So.
Oh, is it someone from Twitch even coming in? What did they say? I love M canning, so my heart is broken a bit.
He's gonna.
But congrats on the great series, game time.
Yeah, thank you. I appreciate it. Yeah, it was tough. Games 2 and 3, I think, or games 2 especially.
Hold up.
Okay.
A little bit closer, and you should be fine.
Okay.
Just not right in front, like when you sat down. You guys didn't hear it was muted for you guys, thank God.
Yeah. But yeah, I think it's really hard. It's a different environment, right? So it's going to be harder. You're not in your comfort zone. And
what is your home setup like? Do you have just one monitor? You got a DX Racer chair? What's that like for you?
Well, I got an office chair pretty much, and then I do 2 monitors. But on my left monitor, it's all notes, and I write notes on my games.
So
and stuff
builds and stuff too.
Exactly. Yep. And then I kind of play elevated, so my keyboard's upwards, and my elbows are kind of tucked in.
Oh, really?
Now I'm playing down.
Yeah, I don't know if I could play that. That sounds uncomfortable to me.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I just got used to it, so I'm it's whatever. I think that's why I always have cold hands. I don't know, because whenever.
Oh, because it's the blood can't flow around.
Yeah, I don't know. So.
That's the Thriller way to play.
Yep, exactly. But yeah, on land, my perfect example was that game 2, right? I was macroing really well, I think. I got ahead in the early to mid-game stages.
Yeah, dude, you had the income advantage literally the entire game. No doubt about it.
I was playing pretty well macro-wise, but the engagements with M canning are really hard because disruptor shots can literally just screw you over.
Yeah, one disruptor shot can change a game.
Exactly, and he had really good control, and I didn't have good control. So when that happens versus disruptors, it kind of goes downhill quick. So. I think it went back and forth a little bit. I brought it back here and there, so it was pretty cool. But then mid game, I was okay, what am I gonna do next map? What am I gonna do next map? I was I pretty much
you've already considered what
I'm gonna do. Yeah, and then I bring it back, and I'm oh, I might actually win this map, And then I'm okay, disruptors just destroyed me.
Well, we can't have you for too long, but let me ask you this: the highs and the lows, right? So you get those moments where you're oh shit, I might actually have this.
Yeah, and I thought I was gonna lose too, so I was
I was wondering, do you ever feel your own, maybe, I don't know a better word for this, but cockiness ever gets the advantage of you in those situations? Or do you feel nah, that just went as expected?
Yeah, I think it's more confidence more than cockiness.
That's probably a word.
Yeah, I think it's if you're confident, even in the middle of the game, you will just keep going and play better throughout the whole game. So I think when something goes bad, you got to just keep grinding it out and trying to get that comeback. Because, I mean, there's comebacks all the time in StarCraft, right? So if you're down, it doesn't mean you lost. You're slightly behind or whatever.
I always like to think of it as the banling dynamic in ZVZ, right? Exactly. One good banling hit could change the world.
Yep, the army supply just tilts. Yep, exactly.
All right, so you're coming up against uThermal, man.
Yeah, it's gonna be tough.
Don't give away your secret strats to the streamer. He might be listening. Yeah. But uThermal's a really fearsome opponent. I mean, honestly, he is the god of Terran in Europe right now.
Definitely.
Are you scared? I mean, you're definitely valued, I think, as the underdog. But do you feel that way?
I'm definitely an underdog, but I'm just gonna play my game. I'm gonna stay confident. I mean,
it's that confidence we were talking about before.
Yeah. Because if you're not confident, I mean, you're gonna go into a series thinking you're gonna lose. You're gonna lose. It's just it's just plain and simple. So I think if you're going to it, even if you're the underdog, just play your game. If you play super well, you have a chance to beat anyone. I think.
I love this attitude, by the way. I was actually talking with 2 players earlier who they're oh, we're just here. We don't even know if we're gonna have it. I'm no, you gotta at least try.
Yeah,
don't beat yourself up before you even try.
Definitely. Yeah.
So you know what? That's a great freaking attitude, man. I wish you the best of luck.
Thank you.
And I think you guys gotta go do vetoes or whatever. I don't know when it starts, but thanks for coming on to say hi.
Yeah.
Shout outs before you go real quick. Twitter or anything like that?
Yeah, my Twitter is @GameTimeSC2, and shout out to my team Sloth Esports and Yeah, thanks for having me on here.
Cool. Well, good luck, man. We'll see you in a little bit.
Yeah, thank you.
All right, so we'll be getting Zombie back on here as we swap around, guys. We finally got some water. Oh, my God. So good. But we'll I don't actually know if there's a hold-up or not, because in the past, for previous stuff, they'll be like, look, you can't start until like this exact time at this exact hour. So at the moment, we're not sure what we're doing, but we'll find out soon. Show M. Canning. M. Canning's busy enjoying his walk over. Actually, no, they had someone to replace him. So that guy didn't show up, and they replaced him with someone named Miwa. I think I played Heroes with this guy once or twice. Yeah.
Yeah, isn't he?
It's like an old school name.
Well, isn't he the guy that does like the videos?
I don't know. I got no clue.
I feel like that's either a coincidence or it is the guy.
Yeah. Well, anyways, M. Canning's going to be playing against him next. And then I guess we'll probably follow uThermal and GameTime to the winners match. But again, we don't really know format. And looks like most of the admins are busy, so I don't know if we get to start like right away or what.
Yeah.
See if uThermal knows.
Time out Dorian Manhattan.
Dorian Manhattan? Okay.
Just give him a nice little purge right there.
Okay. I'm going to type it out. Dorian Manhattan 1. I spelled it. You know what? Why didn't I just copy paste it?
I don't know.
See, people think like Rifkin just is talking smack. Like Rifkin actually does ban people even though he says he doesn't. And like, no, I don't know anything about the channel. See, I just banned him. I didn't mean to. Unbanned. Okay, fixed.
I mean, that's how I used to do it before I got better Twitch.
Problems are solved.
Good. You know who came first? Zombie Grub.
The chicken.
Okay, then I'm a chicken.
So we don't actually have access to our Team Liquid right now, which is awkward, and Wardy pointed this out, but they've put us under the CSGO for DreamHack.
We're taking a shot, guys.
Well, CS, I mean, it's close enough. It's basically the same thing.
We're taking a shot in CSGO.
Yeah.
Anyways,
again, I hope everything on the stream is just dandy. I hope you guys are having a good time. Thank you again for joining us, but we are just waiting to find out. I know we're doing uThermal at game time, but it's just a question of like when we're doing uThermal at game time. Miwa is an observer for Heroes of the Storm and a part-time StarCraft 2 player. There you go.
Okay. Definitely Miwa. Definitely Mia. Definitely Miwa.
Sure.
Yeah. Well, that's the guy that did videos.
Anyways. Meet Wad.
Doesn't matter. Someone brings up the ESPN layoffs. I watch ESPN so much, guys. But no, I actually was watching it for some reason.
There's layoffs? What are we talking about? I don't know.
So they're laying off like something like an insane amount of people that work for ESPN. Like I don't remember how many, but like just a really absurd number for a network. And some guy just asked in our chat if we're afraid that it's going to create cost of competition. I thought that was kind of funny.
Because people at ESPN are what, going to go become casters?
I'm figuring the guy's just making a joke, but if you're really asking, I don't think they're going to be taking our jobs anytime soon.
Well, what's interesting is that would honestly, so we're not really in that category though. It's like a different game almost, right? Like for us, we made our own thing, so we don't really rely on those sort of things. People like Nate and others who are hired by the companies to come to these events, they might be the ones who, if anything, would be worried. But I don't think they would be either. I'll move the chat to your screen while I fiddle with stuff, because I also have to change the audio for that Twitch alerts thing.
Okay. 100 on-air personalities.
Sorry, playback devices. So the concern is, guys, we're going to test this real quick here. I should actually be able to run this through XSplit, because a browser window probably won't work. And I think running it through XSplit should be fine. So just bear with some testing for the moment.
ESPN actually is dabbling in esports. Like yesterday, there was a commercial for E-League Street Fighter. They're getting like a bunch of personalities to play it as a show match. So they have like Shaquille O'Neal and 3 other people that I don't recognize.
Shaquille O'Neal?
Shaquille. He's a genie.
He was the genie, yeah. From Shazam.
The genie sounds like the genie from Aladdin, let's be honest. But he was a genie.
Poof, what do you need? Poof, what do you need? Poof.
BaseTrade isn't listed on Team Liquid. You're incorrect, sir.
We are listed on Team Liquid under Counter-Strike, yeah. But hopefully people are finding us through not Team Liquid
I only
Methods.
came to DreamHack to see BaseTradeTV. Well, that's the only thing going on right now, so that makes sense.
Hey.
Hey.
Sorry guys, one sec. We're almost done. I hate working in 720. We don't have 1080 options here. So hopefully that'll work. Fade. Boom.
I should have watched how you did that. How do you set up the Twitch alerts?
Like what?
Well, you just you did the top right thing, right? So it like had the text in a nice, you know, big font. Like just do it again. Like how'd you set it up? Like how'd you
I'm not understanding what the question is.
How did you set up the top right? Pretend I don't know anything. How did you set up the top right thing to pop up?
Okay, so I would add a web page.
Okay.
Paste in the Twitch alerts.
Right. Is that it?
And then, well, so it's too big, right? So you have to scale it down. Although I don't know why that's not showing.
Okay.
There we go.
See, but it doesn't even show up that big
Well, so
on mine.
So I scale it down.
No, it doesn't. I'm telling you, like, okay, chat, help me out here, right? Like, when I put that thing in to mine, what it does is like the text is like this big. It's like text for ants, okay?
No, see, that's the problem. That's what I'm talking about. Because do you broadcast in 1080?
Yes.
So we're not broadcasting at 1080, so the text is going to be bigger. This is.
But I've also cast. I've done both, right? Because you said at first that you were like, oh, you don't cast in 1080, and I was like, oh, I guess that explains it. And then I upgraded to my computer, and now it's literally the same thing. So what I've done is I just like I've regioned out the Twitch alerts so that it shows the text bigger.
I don't know, man. I don't know what to tell you. I changed the font size when we're doing stuff. But Twitch alert shows tier 2 subs and stuff now. Okay, so hang on. Let's get this. Wait, do we have a camera set up? We do. Okay. So where does today start?
But that's not the problem either.
4 hours ago. Well, 2 hours ago is when we started. So it's Triss. Triss for 23 months. Tier 1 subs is Ace Kate. I guess we don't need to include. We'll just
Why
assume.
Why are you discussing this on air? Because we have nothing better to do.
We'll just assume that it's all tier 1 unless we say otherwise. I think it'll be the best way to go about it, right?
Okay. Yeah, it's like a donation.
Also, apparently they don't know when we're going to be starting next. So we would actually. Hey, Stacia. When do we start the next games? When does the next best of 3 start? As soon as possible, so I can tell them to start doing videos and stuff? Okay, cool. Okay,
we're going to start as soon as possible.
uThermal and game time. Cool. So, yeah, they're going to get Vito started and we can start looking into this. Nate's burning cash in my chat. What's up? Nate, what are you doing? Meme in the chat, dude. Oh, that's right. You're not a tier 2 sub. I can't counter. My favorite emote combination right now. Are you sub to Nate?
Holy fuck, it's Scarlet.
Are you sub to Nate? Hello?
Yeah, I am.
Okay, good. Sir, and Ace Fork are like my new favorite combination.
I just realized that you're me. I saw it like when you started, but then I forgot.
Yeah, so we're logged in. Okay, so for those who don't know, the extra layer of amazingness today, my phone broke. My phone is what gives the 2-step authentication to get into the BaseTradeTV Twitch account. We can't access the Twitch account, so we're on Biggrub's account today.
Yeah.
But anyways, we just stopped at the first shout out. We really failed at this hard. So thank you, McStabby, for the new sub. Epoxidation 1 for the new sub. Rixalim for the new sub. MQN, I think we caught that one in the game. Thank you for the new sub. Rathremus or Ram3us. New sub as well. Then Alaska Winter upgraded bloop, 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 to the 2-tier sub. That kind of looked a little bit.
Someone get fast.
Then Clips 1 was a brand new sub as well. Or excuse me, Clips 31, excuse me. And then Capricorn for 23 months. Thank you for coming back to say nearly 2 years. Get in.
Sure.
Also, while we're waiting for Vito's to get kicked off, if you guys missed it, oh my god, I know we were talking about it earlier, the sickest fan art is what we were blessed with today. I'm screen reading this really quick, but if someone could actually link the tweet in chat, I would appreciate it.
Oh, that was a beautiful picture. Just keep that one. Damn it.
Damn it, this is the same problem I have at home. I can't screen read in the second monitor. So this tells me it's not my problem, it's an XSplit problem, which is good, I guess. But also not good that we're having the problem. Okay. Can I load that? How did I solve this at home? I had a solution for this at home. I don't remember. I think I dragged both screens and it worked. Yeah, for no reason that works. For no reason that makes any sense whatsoever. Okay, so there's the picture. Yo, we have been like going super like analyzing. Whoops. We've been like analyzing this picture, guys. This is so amazing for a lot of different reasons, but it's quite memey, and it gets more memey as you look at it further and further. Move that over here. So like,
They invited us.
oh, into game. Okay, we'll get the game going here in a sec, but I love this. Basic Marauder shooting up. Us looking fan-freaking-tastic. The 47 has nailed it. And then, oh, if we got other guys in here. One sec. Oh, guys. Game heart. Alright, let's, we'll host. So, or I guess uThermal, we'll see. Thermal, you host or us? Anyways, this fan art is amazing, and I just, I want to, even if this guy doesn't, I will tell you, 47 is, if you're listening or watching, whatever, man, if you want to sell prints of this dude, I will advertise the crap out of it. Like, I will buy one as well. Like, this thing, it looks so good in, like, higher definition. So don't look at it on stream here and pour 720. Go on your Twitter feed and go look at it yourselves. It looks amazing. But looks like we're about ready to go, so let's start moving all the screen stuff back over. Also, had a couple more subs while we were talking about stuff. Hazaboy, 7 months. Resub with Twitch Prime. Thank you very much. Hi. Venjik for 22. And then Bitstorm for 28. And I think we're finally caught up a million years later.
Nope, not caught up. Just kidding. Virtual Remedy for 5 months.
Whoop, whoop. All right, well, let's... hang on, I got to get a couple on Twitter. I'm actually looking for a very specific tweet from somebody. Okay, my the person I'm staying with was supposed to message me, but I realize now that with my phone being broken, I have no way to contact her.
Good deal. Good deal.
Feels bad, man. Anyways, let's move chat back over too because we lost that. Make sure we can see your lovely words, guys. Will M Canning's loser match be broadcasted too? It's going to be playing right now, so if no one's casting it, then no. We're in this game because I think it's going to be a good game. But this is WCS Austin for 2017. In the bottom left, he's come all the way from Europe to play live. Ladies and gentlemen, the red Terran uThermal.
In the top right is the yellow Zerg. He is Game Time.
All right, so Game Time just put on a pretty good series versus M Canning. But there were some definite moments of, like, I want to say throwing.
Yeah.
So if he can, I feel like if he plays a really tight game and can keep it together, maybe it won't be so tough versus uThermal. But man, uThermal is seriously like so good at this matchup, so good as a player in general.
Yeah, it's going to be a very different pace of the game. I do think that uThermal is going to be the winner here, maybe even 2-0. But Game Time, I'm hoping he's putting up a really good fight. It could show us what like he actually has to bring, I guess, you know, in the future basically. But uThermal is still, despite his uninstalling of StarCraft and all that, is still a very, very good player. So I imagine what it'll look like is that uThermal will just consistently, you know, pressure as he usually does. Pretty aggressive guy. And Game Time will slowly fade out, basically. I'm not sure he's actually going to have any chance to throw, per se.
And this is, by the way, the winner's match, worth noting as well. These are groups set up in the typical fashion, so whoever wins this gets out and moves on to the next stage of the tournament.
Yeah. Which, I don't know if it's going to be like an hour break or something, like as they wait for everyone else to catch up.
Yeah, and I'm not quite sure on the format in terms of like how this is going to lead into seeding, because you guys know 16 players, right? They already got through. That's the Snoots and the others who are just waiting to be seeded against players.
Yeah, they're not playing for quite some time.
No, they don't play for a very, very long time. But anyways, uThermal, not going with anything too cheeky, but I guess it is a little bit harder to pull off things like Reapers on Proxima Station.
He did a little bit of a pseudo AMA on Twitter as he was waiting in the airport just to ask me anything.
His Twitter/Reddit AMA was like, where do you see yourself in 5 years? Selling tacos. I'm like, oh, okay, this is a serious AMA.
Yeah, he's not super serious about it, but I think he has some truth to all of his answers. So one of the questions was, how do you beat Zerg? And one of his answers, because I think he had multiple ones, was 1, don't go 2-1-1. So at least though we probably won't be seeing that in the tournament today. Or I guess tomorrow or Sunday, even if he makes it that far. As the 2-1-1 in a lot of people's minds has just become too predictable. I think we still see Koreans do it, and it's like still a solid build, but not preferable, I think, compared to all the factory openers we now have.
What's interesting too is I feel like that is a build that's not surprise element. It is a lot to do though with control, and I would say uThermal's guy who has that level of control. But we've seen him a lot more comfortable doing things like Banshees or Hellions or even drops. So it makes sense that he wouldn't want to go that direction.
Yeah.
Not because it's a bad build, but he's just had better success with others.
It does put you in a very, like, I don't want to put this like an obvious spot. Like, I feel like when you set up your 2-1-1, it hits, you know, 5 minutes or whatever, and it does X or Y, you can actually very easily tell the game's going to go on from then on. And I think, actually, a lot of people wouldn't like that, right? It actually doesn't give them as much control as you would think, being able to drop with the Medivacs. Whereas these Hellion openers seem to last a little bit longer than anticipated. They actually get a couple of drone kills here and there. They can turn into Hellbots, or they can lead into a 3cc. They can lead into a Banshee, so there's a lot of variety as well. There's no just 2-1-1 into 3cc, which is really just the most standard way you do it. I can see the value of factory openers. I'm glad that they made it back, to be honest, because 2-1-1 was the only way to go for so long, but I still like 2-1-1, so whatever.
Well, not being a bio player, I detest it.
Yeah, you don't even care, man. Your 2-1-1 is like 2 racks proxy into 1 billion factories.
2-1 is 2 Cyclones, or 2 Hellions, 1 Cyclone.
Okay, there you go.
All right, so this actually at the ramp is not going to hold well, and unfortunately with the damage being spread, he wasn't focused on the weak Hellion, so he's going to lose both of his queens for this. Game time with a little bit of miscontrol going to cost them, and as these get to the main, sure there's not a lot left, but this can roast up those drones real nice.
This is super terrible. Like, this is specifically a build that's supposed to easily deal with any sort of harassment early on, especially Hellions, maybe even Banshees that he got in a couple more queens. But already losing drones, a bit of a scout going down. He didn't see the Spire, but he also doesn't see any roaches on the way out either, so it's either one on 2 bases.
This is really interesting follow-up of like a Raven, which I think is kind of neat. I thought for sure this was going to be like Banshees on Banshees on Banshees, but, you know, a Raven and auto charge can get a lot of damage done very quickly.
Yeah, and Proxima does have that little spot in the back too. Now it's a Spire, so funnily enough, this is the one situation where I think that Ravens aren't preferable, as they will die even if they do get that burst damage in, you know, before they die.
How the heck do you miss?
I don't know.
What? So it can move up but not out? This is like a valve. It's a one-way valve. You can't leave once you've entered. Okay, well, that was unfortunate for uThermal. I think he was expecting a lot more out of the follow-up, but what's funny is the mutas are going to catch him, I think, a little off guard. But for those who don't know, auto turrets, they kind of chew through mutas.
He's scanned, so he is just taking the death of this Raven. But yeah, if he gets a couple of mutas or if he gets a couple of drones, then it's still worth it. And like, otherwise, the Raven really isn't doing very much, unless you felt the necessity to keep it at home because you were afraid that the mutas could do damage. But he has missile turrets. He's going to have production. They aren't going to be that many, you know, mutas. It's 2 base after all, and he just lost a bunch of drones.
The Raven is barely in range of this.
Oh no! I guess he was going to try and wait till it had full energy.
I think, yeah, at least 2 auto turrets worth of energy. So he's going to back away now, and that's when the muta's going to move in. And as he flies over space, it means he won't have anywhere to put an auto turret. And this
is actually really good for game time. That's a lot of gas. That's not even going to hit the mutas like twice.
Just a bit of a distraction, but the Hellions still don't find a way in with so many Lings waiting and ready. So this has been a pretty terrible follow-up for uThermal so far.
Yeah, but it's hard to say that, like, terrible is a bit of a strong word, because while the Raven is usually a huge investment, it just seems like these are kind of like accessory.
Well, my point for this, though, is more like, how much better is the stim and the 1-1 timing? Comet Shield's coming. Like, if you're investing 200 energy or gas into each of these Ravens, you really have to put all that off.
He's actually banking a lot of gas still, so there is still, I think, the gaps in the build. He's actually still hard pressed to find minerals, but it is the point, like, you're right, like, if he hadn't decided to go to Ravens and did another build, he would have been way better, right? He just would be preparing an attack right now. But even if the Ravens don't do what they were supposed to, I think uThermal still is okay with how the game went on. The muta count is starting to really grow, however, and what was originally just a nuisance where a couple Marines and missile turrets deal with it fine is now growing to be a really big problem. Like, if uThermal does move out and there's like 20 mutas of +1, that can seriously mess up your production.
Some cheeky Widow Mines now might get some good splash damage. Follow that up with like a couple auto turret shots, and these mutas are going to pop!
Only one at least went off. It was a barely save.
Yeah, for those who don't know, you need like 4 hits to actually kill the cluster of mutas, but still, it's a lot of good splash damage, and that one takes out almost all the Zerglings.
Yeah, almost. I'm surprised that game time goes in for this. He did just finish +1 on his mutas, but a Raven... Like, the Raven alone made it a little bit suspicious. He's actually just trying to all in. GG. Wow.
Okay, uThermal takes the first game.
I mean, seeing a 3rd base like that when yours is only just down and not even saturated, your game time must have felt like he just took too much damage early on. Like, his build was just not the way they wanted to go. And all in and tap out, right? But I don't know. I really wonder what would have happened if he tried to play like a super long game, really get those metas doing the best of that job they can, spread the creep, get emergency banelings, like 2 different ways to play it, and I don't even think he had a baneling nest, so you know he might just die with the first push. So no creep and no banelings.
Joe was talking about the chairs behind us. Look at the dead game, guys. This is a StarCraft audience behind us. Nobody came out to watch StarCraft. It's really awkward.
Yeah.
Except I think the main stage doesn't start until like, what time is it now? Like 2 hours from now, I think.
Yeah, I guess so. Yeah, this clock on the computer's entirely wrong. I like 30 minutes. So, if my voice sounds better, it's probably not because of the mic. It's probably because of Skype compression. Because people say my voice sounds a lot better when I stream too, and I'm like, does people like not realize what Skype does? Like, it's so bad.
I thought you were talking about hear it now. I'm like, you guys were not on Skype.
Right. Yeah. But like, it does really affect it. So of course people are gonna sound clearer. But I don't think it's the reason. Not to like throw shade or anything, right? Like we talked about, In Control does sound really weird when he online casts, and I feel like Skype isn't that bad.
No,
so
some weird
there's
stuff
something
happens.
weird with their connection.
Yeah.
I don't know. But yeah, Skype is usually just terrible.
For the people who want to see Discord, it's not much better. Trust me.
It's not.
It's appealing, and a lot of people want it to be the new thing.
Yeah.
It's not there yet.
It's really not. The quality's not that much better. I guess it does sometimes fix our drop issues, but even then it has a couple of lag problems here and there. Disconnects. Yeah.
Well, let me get all these windows back up as we get into game number 2. Spawning here in the top left. He's up 1-0. Little bit of awkwardness on both sides, but ultimately took the victory with a good defense. It's uThermal.
In the bottom right is the yellow Zerg. It's game time.
I really liked the Widowmine placement, the kind of cheeky whatever.
It was so cool.
Like, if that Widowmine hadn't got such a good hit on the Lings, I still think uThermal would have taken that defensive fight, but that might not have been GG. Like, Game Time came into that fight, and he was screwed from the second that Widowmine hit.
Yeah, of course, yeah. It would have maybe taken out more of the Marines that he felt like there was a backup plan, but again, like, the Raven auto turret was going to shred most of those units. The production was available for uThermal, so it would have had to been kill the army and then continue on. You know, and that maybe was a case, but I think Game Time just felt like he was already too far out of it. Because there certainly are engagements, well, not anymore. We gotta go back to Heart of the Swarm, really, to talk about those muta engagements where occasionally you would just get overwhelmed, right? Like you had the 2-base muta that did eventually overwhelm if the person was too bad at defending it, just off of the 2-base muta build, and that sucked. That made you feel like you're so bad at StarCraft. And then there's the overwhelming, like, no upgrade ling muta style that just, like, overwhelmed you while you try to take your third. And that was annoying, too, because, again, you felt like you were bad at StarCraft. But it doesn't really exist anymore in Legacy of the Void. I mean, 2-base Spire in general is pretty rare to see. A lot of players have been going for 2-base Roach, though, which I find is a bit odd.
Well, I think I look at that build because I know what you're talking about. And it feels like it's a halfway build to being somebody like Nurchio and Snoo, right? Where they're willing to go more than 2 bases, obviously, but Roaches, and only Roaches being the core part of their army for so long with Ravagers. I think there's a part of that could be maybe adapted to others, but it's so hard to play at that level, and that's why even they don't stick to that strategy 100% of the time. Like, that's a hard build to pull off.
Yeah, it's actually, speaking of those two guys, I suppose, it's like, it seems to be Nurchio who's pulled that off recently more times than any others. I think the last best of 5 we saw with Nurchio against a Terran, or was it versus Protoss? Like, maybe I'm getting my races mixed up, actually.
No, it was uThermal was like the last time. I'm
was
pretty
it?
sure.
Okay. Yeah, then he went for like two base Roaches, and I thought that was very interesting, because it's not like he went for a Nidus Worm after, which we also do occasionally see that as well.
Yeah.
Coming back in Legacy of the Void. It was so popular in the beginning, Nidus Worms, and then they died off again.
By the way, just to address this, because people have brought it up more than once now, uThermal is still on Team Liquid, guys. All these folks have their teams, but there's no clans, there's no teams. Because this is kind of like a tournament server that Blizzard set up. It's not really like the open BattleNet that you're used to seeing.
Yeah.
So
this was like, it's like one of those patches that they don't bother actually putting in the patch. It's like so good. And
yeah.
They don't want credit for it or something.
They fixed everything in this version of the game. This is called the David Kimless StarCraft 2.
That's not where I was going with that. I was going with, like, there's some times where they release these patches and you're just like, that's good. And then you go in the game and they're like, oh, they fixed X bug and they didn't even mention it. And you're like, well, why don't they want credit for it? And no one really realizes that they actually set up like specific servers for tournaments now because
Yeah,
they never really announced it.
I didn't know
But
until
like,
today.
it's something that everyone really wanted and called for, and they didn't even like want to take credit for it. I don't know.
Well, so some of the problem though is like talking to Teal and others are saying like this would actually sometimes create worse lag, like
Oh, okay.
a la BlizzCon stuff. So it's not perfect yet, obviously. But I bring this up because they're rocking the jerseys. They're looking good. uThermal's definitely still on Team Liquid, and same with anyone else you're going to see on stream that doesn't have their clan tag. It's not because they've left the team. It's just it's a tournament server.
And I'm pretty sure when they're actually up on stage, they're gonna have their fancy graphics on for their teams.
Yeah,
sponsors.
there's actually there's a mod that we're supposed to be using for this too, but it didn't get made correctly, so that it would show logos
Nice.
and whatnot.
Yeah, I remember. Well, this game has been another factory opener versus a 2-base Spire, but ideally this is not a game where you lose 5 drones right off the bat. And Chaos too, like he lost 2 queens and all those drones too. So when you're already on 2 bases for so long, that's pretty brutal. The Reaper's going to scout the Spire. You do want to confirm that there isn't a Roach Warren pairing with a Natus Worm, because that would trick you.
I'm curious, though, about the follow-up to this. So, from uThermal, then, excuse me, the Spire scouted, and you assume once again, okay, it's going to be Mutas, right? And that's not where the Corruptor's in a fast time. But what's your anti-air source, then? Because you're not going to have that many Marines out yet. Do you rely more on the Ravens so you keep it home defensive? Or do you just get really, really aggressive so your opponent can't really afford to make that many Mutas? And that's what these Hellions want to try and make have happen.
Yeah. Well, the Hellions, they actually would be useful because this game is probably going to be mutilating Bling if they turn into Hellbats later on. So you don't really feel the necessity to sacrifice them. But if you were thinking that Mutas needed to be, stalled a little bit while your production gets up because you went for a factory and not, a lot of barracks quite ready to go yet, suiciding them is an easy way to try and buy that time. But there's so many Lings, I think they just would falter. GameTime's getting a 3rd base. His Mutas are on the way. We'll see if uThermal tries to hide his Raven again. Looks like it.
Yeah, I gotta say, like, that was the most unfortunate he could have gone for that Raven. And it's still impressive that he's able to make the game work out for him. Right? But that should have been a really big standing loss. But 3 CCs, what I like about this is, okay, let's assume the Mutas actually do work and they get some worker kills. Well, 3 CCs band-aids that really nicely.
Yeah. 3 CCs is... Yeah, I mean, like, you would have to take quite a few SCV kills, but a lot of 2-base Muta is about that momentum, and if they can start the ball rolling, then, like, even if they don't technically do that much damage, they don't kill 30 SCVs, they kill 10, but the reactors were stalled, and the barracks were later, and the 3rd CC can't go on location. Like, that does add up a lot, but it looks like GameTime is not going to stay in mutilating Bling. I mean, I guess we didn't really get to see his intentions last game because he was in such a desperate scenario, but it is going to be transferring over into Roaches, like double upgraded Roaches too.
Hellions being caught in the middle of the map, crowded around, kind of sucks. Turret down here, turret in the mineral line, so uThermal is more or less prepared to keep this from going too out of hand. If this was like 20 plus Mutas, that's a whole nother problem, but
yeah.
I think what he has right now is totally manageable. The fact that he's been able to kind of kite these around with the Hellions, almost just waste their time.
Yeah,
gives
for
them
sure.
all the time though to finish up Stim, to get Marines out, to get 1-1.
And if there's any chance that you can see more Mutas rallying in, like you can try and decide for yourself if they're going to transfer over or not without having to scan. But I don't think uThermal has really realized what GameTime's doing yet. Again, last game, all he saw was Mutiling attacking into him, and then there was nothing else to say that there was any intention to transfer over. In this game, I don't think he's seen anything either. The Roaches haven't quite popped for that Raven to see it. That Raven got 10 drone kills.
Yeah,
this
sorry.
one too.
I was dying in real life, guys. But yeah, 10 kills from the out turret. It's not too bad. Well, I guess it was 6 on here and 4 on the Hellions that ran down this way. Oh, another out turret.
Yeah. So he still sees the same amount of Mutas, so there might be some like thing going on in his head. Like, wait a second, is it really going to be Ling Bane Ling Muta or not? Because I still think the Roach Warren's been hidden. Yeah, it has. It's actually, I think it's like legitimately hidden too. Like it's on the ramp between the main and the natural. Like that's a pretty clever spot.
And he's not seen it, so confirming that it is in fact hidden.
Everything else would say, like the double evolution chambers, the Spire, of course, the Mutas, like would say that they're going mutilating thing.
So my problem with this though is I don't feel like this really changes it. You don't just as a Terran player start producing 10 more Marauders at a time. You're not looking for Banshees to deal with Roaches.
You do add on more tech labs though, because like the whole production flow of Terran is like Marine Widowmine until they have free base fully saturated, and then they add on more tech labs for the eventual turret. Like, but if they're up against Roaches, I think you want to add those tech labs on earlier. And also, Widowmines have to be placed kind of more sneakily, in my opinion, as well, because they're really not the ideal unit against tanks. Additionally, like, if GameTime's just going to go into further upgrades and Hive, that's going to so much time for uThermal to figure things out and just respond. If he's actually going to be super aggressive and attack as soon as he's maxed, though, uThermal's not going to expect that. He's not going to have his units in position, and he might actually get, like, you know, stomped because his army composition and his mentality is all wrong, too. But that remains to be seen. I mean, he has his own push coming out here, and this will, of course, scout what the army is. And it's not a bad situation here. 73 army supply to 100, but, again, Roach is inflating and all that. And, of course, the mutas have been thinned out a little bit, so you can still save a lot of these units in the medevac. I do believe that is the first indication of Roaches, so he's just gonna boogie on out of here. He has 3 more barracks on the way, so those should be getting those tech labs anyway.
This guy's been alive and harassing while this goes on.
Second factory immediately also starts that +1 vehicle weapons. I mean, uThermal is one of these guys that has been experimenting before and after his troubles versus Zerg with tank production. So I think he would have loved to have done it earlier.
Well, the Woodmines are getting surprisingly good hits, and the Marines are just kind of focusing down the Ravagers. uThermal's got to keep pulling back, though, and start utilizing more and more of these Woodmines if possible, but they're getting picked off, and the Overseers are there. This definitely caught him off guard, but the thing is, I really like uThermal's production.
It's going to be camped, though. Like, I think game time hit perfectly here. If he had waited for +2, maybe that would have worked out fine, but since he was revealed and uThermal was already out of position anyways, just go for it. Once again, I think game time, his aggression might be working out. He is getting a little bit surrounded, however, and medevac's you know, pretty powerful stuff. But I think there's reinforcements. Like, I think he's got it.
Just thinking back to the series for Sam Canning, maybe game time is his name for a reason. Like, his timings have really seriously been the strongest part of watching him play. Yeah,
he might want to be floating with Lings now, however, as these Roaches are coming in like a little bit slow, and it is like that production uThermal was really reaching its stride. It got a little bit scary every time those Marauders stim, but.
Ooh. He did get a cancel on concussive shells. That'll be really nice to make sure this doesn't get too out of hand.
Yeah.
Auto turret locked and loaded. Going to try and get some kills, but focus down immediately. Nice reaction out of game time.
This is like, it's such a small amount of Roaches and Ravagers, but their +2 is done. uThermal is still far away, like 30 seconds away from his 2-2-1. Of course, no tanks even take advantage of that one. I mean, this is actually like surprisingly close for how shocking that must have been for uThermal.
Yeah.
And he could maybe recover from 22 SCV losses if he really just like went Super Saiyan with his drops. But he's running out of army, and he's about to get camped again on his other production.
Yeah, there's no tank coming in the main. I don't feel like there's anything he's really working towards at this point. He's just fighting what he has with what he has. And it's not that you're falling back to a line of tanks. You don't have more Widowmines at the top of this ramp. This is just getting out of hand really fast.
Well done, though. I seriously like... So it's really cool to get a surprise off on a Terran player, because I really feel like TvZ has mostly been figured out, especially considering how many times we see the same people play each other over and over again. Like, if this was against Nurchio, I don't think uThermal was getting surprised like this, but, you know, maybe he doesn't know a lot about game time. Game time took the opportunity, and that Roach Warren placement was really cool as well. All the typical ways to scout just weren't used. And then to hit that timing, too, like right before production, right, you know, as he got the surprise, it was really good.
How do I do this? Got some Nate just kind of chilling in the background. But you know what? Game time beating uThermal is really cool. Like, okay, maybe it's just one game. It will never, ever happen again. And for the rest of his life, it's going to be 0 and whatever. But it's cool to see him actually beat somebody who is, like, uThermal has renown to him. Like, this is not some random Terran you've heard some good stuff about. He's good at this matchup. He's good as a player. So for game time, even just, I think, one win is definitely, like a big internal victory.
Yeah.
And, you know, he was on the, I don't know how much you were actually able to hear from the interview with him earlier, but, you know, he's talking about confidence and all these other things.
Yeah, I heard that part. Yeah, it's very effective. I thought that was very smart. Like, I think it's really like a sign of an up-and-comer for me. Like the guy who's actually going to be in a couple of months, like really competing, is not like 1 or 2 off, like, you know, 2 zeros against really great players, but that they can play very solid almost no matter what. Like, they try and make the smart decisions even if it looks like impossible. So that was just a smart play. Like, there wasn't anything really too fancy about it except for that Roach Warren being hidden, but it was super solid. He didn't have subpar macro and failed with it. He actually successfully completed his mission.
All right, so quick question for folks on stream. I'm seeing like half people reporting. We have no frames dropped on XSplit, but people are saying there's video stutter. So if you guys could help us know whether this is just 1 or 2 people or a lot. I don't want to give you guys a bad show. We want to give you the best thing possible, etc. So let us know what's going on in chat. We'll also get caught up with sub shoutouts after this game, but we are getting into game number 3 after all. And in the top left, he just lost the Red Terran uThermal.
In the bottom right is the yellow Zerg. It is game time.
Yo, uThermal, again, for me, I talked to him. He's just kind of here being uThermal. Like, I don't think this is a guy who beams confidence and like sits there with cockiness and says, "Oh, I'm just gonna squash all these nerds." He is kind of just like, "Yeah, I'm here to play and I'll play my best" type thing. And I don't think he's gonna be too defeated by that victory. But we were kind of making jokes. I'm like, look, if you want to beat uThermal, just tilt him and then you'll be good to go afterwards.
There's something to be said about that. I think if he did lose this series, though, I would actually like legitimately be concerned, like not super worried to be honest, because uThermal's uThermal, but like a little bit concerned that M Cannon could maybe like also take a surprise 2-1 victory off of him with his disruptor shenanigans, since you don't play against it too often. But I still have confidence for uThermal versus GameTime and Resent getting.
Looking over there, Major's like fanning himself with like a Pokemon toy. It's amazing.
That probably works brilliantly.
He reminds me of the guy from Futurama. It was like, Chauncey! More grapes!
Hedonism bot, right?
Hedonism bot, yeah. Just like chilling over there. Annie on his shoulder. Okay, whatever. Anyways, I really don't know what GameTime's going to do. Like, we talked about timing being like one of the strongest parts of him. And I would love to know, like, if he wins, I want to get him back on the mic and I want to ask him, like, is that luck, coincidence, or do you actually have like just the sickest game sense to know the timings you need to hit?
Yeah.
Because very impressive versus M Canning, but that's, you know what, okay, it's NA versus NA, write it off. Getting that timing versus uThermal though, that is legit. You can't argue that.
Yeah.
Tides go in, tides go out.
It really is. It's also just like there are, I think, other players who are really very, very good, but they'll make these mistakes where they are either overly defensive or not defensive enough. They're overly aggressive or not aggressive enough, and hitting, like, actually deciding to go for that time when maybe his initial plan was to wait for +2 is like a big difference between someone who knows their shit and someone who's actually just still kind of working their way up there.
By the way, gotta give some quick respect to all the people in chat who knew what Hedonism bot was.
Right. But yeah, you know, not to give GameTime like too much, I suppose, here, as uThermal probably also is thinking like, okay, that was borderline cheese, really. Like it wasn't 5 minutes insta win because I didn't scout it, but it was like 12 minutes really good chance to win because I didn't scout it. So whatever type of cheese that would be, I suppose. And he hopefully kind of recognizes it however he does usually, which is like, in my opinion, I think the best way to deal with cheese is to be like, well, what the fuck cheese mean? I'm just gonna forget about it, you know? Like,
I feel
just
like
get on with the day.
The best thing to do when you're presented with cheese is just grab some crackers.
Exactly. When life gives you cheese, grab some crackers.
When life gives you cheese, make cheese-a-nade.
Cheese-a-nade. Is that like cheese whiz?
Ugh.
We should name it cheese-a-nade.
Okay, so we were kind of talking about, by the way, 2-1-1s and other builds earlier. I'm kind of interested in his choice to go this way. I feel like uThermal's the type of guy I would expect to not like get petty, but to throw down like a 3 racks or to try and abuse you through like really, really something dirty, not go from a loss into a standard build.
Kind of, yeah. I feel like sometimes there is that case of the 1-up. So sometimes it's really depressing, right? Like sometimes he like loses a game and then it's just like, I don't, you know, whatever, just choose the map for me. And then sometimes he like loses a game and then just like instantly gets super aggressive and is like, that was a fluke and I'm gonna slap you down for it.
Yeah, that's the uThermal I always think about when it comes to like retaliation. Like,
yeah.
Ooh, no,
this is a lot of lings. Yeah. Kind of like it didn't really make note of it when we should have, but this is a lot of lings. This wasn't actually that early of a pool, I don't believe. In fact, he has a third base that's already done, right? But the fact of how many lings there was, uThermal could have even made this worse had he tried to save his natural command center. If his Marines weren't on the ramp protecting each other, SVs obviously, you know, weren't pulled, and then this actually kind of like fumbles forward. And I think GameTime was really hoping to catch Hellions in low numbers, because if he gets surrounds on Hellions, they suck, right? But because it was a Marine opener, he actually did a 2-1-1, funnily enough. There was enough Marines, and they were smartly placed.
I love that. Someone in chat saying I would be Amy Wong. I'm sorry, but you got the Wong character.
Is that like a racist thing? Racist.
It's the Wong joke. Alright, so uThermal's finally going to go out with these drops. And I really, like this guy, his control, his stutter step, his micro, it is seriously next level. So this now is no longer about timings for GameTime, right? There's no luck of like, okay, I made a bunch of lings at the right time. It's still like a matter of trying to deal with these drops. Being in the right position, having the Queens focus firing down the medevacs, not wasting shots into Marines, etc.
Yeah. I mean, the 2-1-1 might not be what everyone is doing every single game anymore, but it really is a nice, solid test of macro and how smartly you can deal with this, because the trick really isn't getting this to back off and run away. The trick is doing it with the fewest amount of losses possible, and going down that ramp looked awfully suspicious.
Yeah, corpses went flying everywhere. Pretty good trade outs.
Yeah, it wasn't as bad as it looked like it was going to be. I mean, that ramp looked absolutely brutal, but there's no combat shields, there's no upgrades, so that's always going to be kind of like a, you know, whatever. So, anyways, that was, as I was saying, it was like a nice test, and you're supposed to deal with it with as little as possible.
He followed up with a cycle. Who else was doing this?
Bunny.
Bunny's been doing this a lot.
And uThermal did this before. I brought it up. I was like, what is he, Bunny? Because I still don't really see the cyclone, and I'm like, this is exactly what it's going to do and what it's going to help out with. I just kind of see it, and I'm like, well, I guess it could tank a few more shots, and I guess it also has high DPS, so it's kind of like a Marine. So
I love the Cyclone. I loved the role it had before. Then they changed it, so it wasn't so good for this, that, and the other. But it has been really interesting watching this get sort of intertwined into these attacks. And I think, if nothing else, forget the Marines. You can't leave this thing shooting a hatchery. You can't leave this thing shooting a rotor.
I think Bunny also does it with the first 2 medevacs, or is he does it with the second pair. But this is where you need banelings, and unfortunately, GameTime just makes the banelings in the wrong place here. He can technically take this on with enough lings, but that's not what you want to do. You're going to actually take damage just by having to make so many units.
Yeah, Queen's actually... Oh, I like that pickup of the cycle. Keep it alive a little bit longer. Marines are going to finally be pushed back. The Queens are out of use, though.
He's focusing the Cyclone. Oh, my God.
This is like a big bait of a problem. I mean, this is why Darren players love doing this.
I guess so.
Not shooting the medevacs. These Queens should have all been focused right down the medevacs. That would have stopped the Marines. That would have stopped the Cyclone. GameTime took so many losses. Hang on, look at the units lost.
It's a hold, but it's questionable.
74 Zerglings for 18 Marines.
It's funny too because kudos to him for keeping his queens alive. You think that's the first thing that's going to go down, but there were enough lings.
I guess. Yeah, there's a little bit of that too.
There were enough lings to just give themselves in a slaughterhouse and still end up holding on, but that was not what GameTime wanted. He also had to cancel his 4th base that should have been finishing while he defended in another position. And now he's headed as smoothly into a macro game as he would like.
Even getting the Overlords, too. I mean, like, this is just like icing on the cake for uThermal.
Yeah, it is. Oh, that's weird. So uThermal, I guess he actually really delayed his command center then, if that's still on an orbital, to do what he just did. And that does add a little bit of, like, was that as much damage as we really thought? Because GameTime might have lost, like, 76 Earthlings, but uThermal... His macro also wasn't, like, super consistent, perfect, as we would expect from the follow-up. That Reaper, though. That's
a good question. Marine should be able to push this back. The bunker barely alive, so all he's got to do is manage to run into that and be fine.
I love that he repaired it. Like, there weren't that many lings that they would have broken it without the bunker, but he didn't want to rebuild it.
Worth. He'll get the Queens here. No transfuses going into them, so both get picked off. A lot of banelings this time around, though. uThermal had a really sweet timing before, because there was like 4 banelings being made, not finished.
The mutas. Oh, he only loses 1. Worth, then, I think.
Did trade out like all the Marines for those banelings though, and that actually ends up maybe even being better for uThermal than GameTime. Funny enough.
That's a good point. And 8 drones went down. 8 drones, a muta, and a lot of banelings. Yeah, and 2 of the medevacs lived. That probably was better for uThermal. uThermal a bit late to his 2-2, or rather, I think GameTime just really quick to his +2 Carapace. A mixture of both. I'm gonna guess here is that +2 Carapace is almost done. Where uThermal really recently started his 2-2.
He's pushing off creep though, and this is dangerous for uThermal right now, but also for GameTime. He doesn't know there's no Widow Mine sitting here waiting.
Yeah, it's a bit dangerous. This is a really nice, again, kind of timing to hit though. Like he didn't invest in a +2 melee weapons. He's actually just overwhelming uThermal before he has that splash damage. You can talk about those Widow Mines, and that was a scary situation for uThermal. But Widow Mines pop out. He's got like units every which way, and GameTime's not going to commit.
Man, I miss having a real mouse pad right now. This actually really hurt my wrist today.
Maybe I could do like like an Archon mode.
This would be Archon mode observing. I feel like we'll do that when we get like a truly NA game. I don't want to miss anything special on this one.
What's in the production tab? Yeah, the +2 Carapace finished I guess a while ago. 2-2 is still quite a ways off, and this is still a scary spot as the Widow Mines have been popped off. But I think that just too few banelings are going to be sniped. Like only 3 of them is not that scary. Only 6 of them is not that scary.
The thing too is like, at the end of the day with that bunker there, no matter how much he kills the army, he needs to have enough left over to deal with the bunker.
Yeah, GameTime is on the edge of overcommitting, as he is not starting up his other upgrades or anything else actually. And 63 drones isn't really too perfect of a number.
He's on a larva right now, which is an issue too.
Did he never get a macro hatchery? Ooh,
no,
that's weird.
I think a big part of this was just relying on injects. So that is a bit of an issue.
I think most I mean, correct me if I'm wrong, but I thought most Mutiling Bling compositions always require that extra hatchery.
No, I think so too, but I'm just saying, like, maybe he was like content. Like, I'll just get the
Oh,
injects,
content. Yeah, I guess so. It seems to be. It's one of those things too, where like either you forget for like 5 seconds, then you forget for 50
actually,
seconds,
if you figure by his logic, the game should have been over by now, then it would have been fine.
Yeah, exactly. But the point is, like, you.
Oh God.
You don't think you need it, and then suddenly you need it. But that was actually not a bad fight for game time.
The problem is, though,
just getting another base, actually, not even macro hatchery.
It's really hard for him to, like, follow through with more. Like, you'll take one good fight, but then use all the banelings for that one good fight, right? Mutiles are all really low. Turrets get shots up. Marines get absolutely wrecked. Corpses are flying everywhere, but all he really does is bust the bunker.
Yeah, that Widow Mine does not go off the mutas. That's important. It would have been actually really devastating. But unfortunately, the mutas maybe should have been on top of those medevacs. Those Marines went down, and the medevacs ended up still living despite having, like, quite a bit of health off of them. uThermal's upgrades also finished. So as we watch, you know, continued investments into this attack, it's probably going to get worse and worse. And uThermal, as long as he doesn't falter in his macro, I think he still holds. But he will need a 4th base eventually, and game time's already onto his 5th. He didn't get a macro hatchery, he got a 5th base, but I guess it's, you know, more hatcheries, more good. No Marauders either to help soak up these banelings when they do get too high in number, and uThermal is dangerously close to being busted. One wrong move from either player, one bad Widow Mine shot, and this could just be, you know, time to calm down for both players, basically. That 3rd base has been evacuated.
Yeah, the SUVs got fully transferred out, so only a couple die for this, but still the fact that he's not mining off of it. You mentioned needing a 4th. Well, you also need that 3rd. Command Center might get focused. uThermal's starting to run out of steam. I mean, Game Time's army supply isn't enough, I feel, to just auto-win the game, but he is winning. There's no doubt about it.
Yeah. He is actually getting a dangerous number of lings here. Still pretty low in the banelings, especially as he makes on the front lines. uThermal is trying to snipe them. That was a nice Widow Mine hit, but the Widow Mine did die.
You know, he's coming up on 3-3 as well, but stuck in the choke once again.
Wait, was that on purpose?
I don't know.
That was weird. Either way, he does pick up a couple of units. Oddly enough, this helps you kind of split in a way as you drop them into the medevac, but he's getting on top of production. I don't think he has quite enough mutas to do this. It's actually really hard to tell. There's like 9 Marines left over, more banelings flooding in, more lings flooding in. The medevacs are actually running dry. You know, there's still 4 of them left over.
Command Center might go down. Even if it doesn't, he can follow through, kill this SCVs underneath it.
Mutas are actually being focus fired right there. The buildings weren't helping out, so that is nice.
uThermal has like a dozen Marines.
He does,
he's making it a lot worse.
Whoa! Oh, they're going to the 3rd base, and he had a wall off. That was so dangerous, but funnily enough, nothing over there, so they're A-okay. And he does have his 4th up and running, or soon enough, I suppose. That is his main orbital.
There hasn't been like 15 Widow Mines, but there's always like just one Widow Mine getting really good hits over and over and over consistently.
uThermal is starting to skip those in his production line, though, as his money was running really, really low. He's not repairing the command center either, and there's not that many mutas, but they will eventually tear down the 3rd base.
Oh. There we go.
That's, I thought he actually might have been able to save it. A couple SCVs come forward, but they were a little bit too late.
Yo.
And that's a pretty big blow. He already just transferred his main.
Well, that sucks, and I'm not going to try and band-aid the situation. I do want to point uThermal is on 3-3 finally. Game time is pretty behind in upgrades, so yeah, the Mutalists and the Banelings can maybe do something, but they're not going to be doing much against +3 armor when they don't have like any attacks themselves.
I mean, that is certainly true, but those, like, it is the combination of units, of course, that have been so effective. The Banelings occasionally getting the great hits, the Lings helping surround the Marines, the Glaive Worm of the Mutas helping with that little bit of damage, as well as taking out the medevacs, which are already so low.
And all these Marines are like in the red the second they come out of that medevac. He's on top of production now in the natural base. I guess the SCVs in the SimCity is working a little bit to the favor of uThermal.
It certainly is. Like, anytime it backs up on that natural, game time is once again threatening overcommitting, but a bad rally from those Marines, all the medevacs go down. I was just speaking about how uThermal was having trouble making Widow Mines. I don't know about making medevacs as well.
But the thing is, he's finally caught up on army supply, and I think one of the problems for game time was, like, not that he's, like, too overcommitted. Like, he's been expanding consistently behind this. He's been mining consistently behind this, but he just can't seem to quite squash uThermal.
Oh, I didn't even realize. Those are 2 engineering bays. He can't even, like, come over here easily to help this.
Oh, you mean the wall off here?
Yeah, he has. I think it should be worth killing one of those.
I was going to say, you can now. He's got 3-3. What else are you going to use it for, right?
Yeah, exactly. These Marines are so low, and those medevacs have only a tiny little bit of energy left over, but those upgrades.
Those upgrades are God mode. He pushes back the Lings. uThermal holds on.
Yeah, he does. And this is actually, I mean, game time.
Oh, God.
He might want to think about transitioning from here. It's so hard to tell. Like, when Marines get the high enough numbers, when they have those upgrades, And they can focus fire down the banelings. So that was key there. There wasn't any banelings.
If GameTime had Ultralisks, even with these lower upgrades, I think this would be a very different looking game.
Yeah.
But uThermal has been pushing this back. These Widowmines have been getting like God mode hits.
They have like again. I mean, in the grand scheme of things, he's actually like missed a couple of rounds of Widow Mines, and those have been the points where it's looked the scariest when those lings actually started to really flood in. But now getting a higher number, now starting to bulk up on the Marines. He's still strapped for cash as he has to resaturate his third. This, I guess, is technically his fourth, which is natural.
Yo, uThermal unburrows the Widowmines to cancel the shots and the wasted hits. That was so cool. Now he's gonna have for the Banelings.
Good splits from GameTime there, though. Like that was one Widowmine for one Baneling.
Could have been much worse. The Marines running for their lives.
Might be. Is this it? This is it.
GG. GameTime.
Holy shit.
GameTime finishes first place in the group, defeating uThermal 2-1. And this means we have like an MCAN versus uThermal, I think, rematch. Or not rematch, final match, which would be kind of cool. But GameTime, all I've heard this whole tournament since we were chilling here is like the Europeans talking down to the North Americans. That is so sick that GameTime could pull that out. That is awesome for him, too. That's a big personal victory. He doesn't even need to win DreamHack. He killed uThermal in a best-of-3. That is super impressive to me.
That's good enough. That is super impressive. I hope he actually comes over here. I'd love to see what his reaction was.
Yeah, I'll definitely see if he wants to do like another interview.
I think there's been actually a crowd gathering. I know there was starting to be a crowd around us when the game was getting heated, and I think that there's a crowd around him over there that started to get rounded too. So that's pretty perfect.
Well, I'm not sure quite where we left off, but just Virtual Remedy, thank you for the 5 months. Bad Decap for 25. Got a Twitch Prime sub coming from Paul S2 for 7 months. Joey Pants 2 is a brand new Twitch sign prop. Subbing to help fix the video stutter. I don't know if it's a stutter, man. I'm sorry. I don't know what you're talking about. It's 234. Thank you for the 28 months. Wow, I've been around forever. Yes, you have. Holy crap, time flies as our Basti subs for 36 months. We got Goatboy 1975 for 36 as well. 3 years. Still love it. And then subscriber supply drop commenting.
Goats.
I don't know what that's what that's supposed to be. Thank you, Running Dreams, for 42. And then just now slows at 12,000 for 27 months. Just keep up the good work. All right, guys, we're going to go see if we can hunt down GameTime. Maybe we can grab him on for the stream. Maybe we can't. But either way, we'll be back in a couple minutes. And we got the finals of the group coming up. We'll see you soon.